called Peaceful Morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello. Hi there. We intentionally made this event casual because we knew most probably would be just a few of us friends that would be gathering here today. And here we are, here to support you, Carol, at this time in your life. You're letting go. So welcome, friends, family. Bob Brandhorst has frequently said to me that it looks like I'm having a family reunion, and essentially we are. some blood family, and then all of my family and friends. You know who I am, but I'm going to introduce myself anyway. I'm Judy Vogt, and it is indeed my privilege to serve as the minister here at Unity Spiritual Center of Gulfport. It's indeed a privilege, and I appreciate it every single day. And one of the reasons I do is that I get to do things like this, where people's lives are touched so deeply that they need a few soft, gentle, kind words. So as you know, we're here today to honor the life of this beloved man, Richard Allen Rauscher. And if you're able, would you please stand so that we could ask a prayer? Dear God, we thank you for the time that we each had with Dick, who was loved so well and by so many all his life, from the time of his birth till his passing on. He's still loved in the same way. And we thank you, God, especially for the love that was shared between Dick and Carol and all of his family and friends. And we recognize that love never dies, but lives on in our hearts. And his life symbolized an eternal flame, a flame that was ignited before birth and continues on in spirit. We honor him today, a beautiful person whose spirit now lights the heavens as it always did here on earth. For these things we give thanks. Amen. And our musicians will now perform one of his favorite hymns.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious is that grace appeared, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Twas grace and grace will lead me home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Richard Allen Rauscher, Dick, as we call him, was born June 18th, 1939. He reached the ripe old age of 85. He passed away peacefully at home with his beloved wife and partner, Carol Porter, who was right at his side all that weekend by herself. They passed away on August 5th, 2024. Dick was adopted, and since there's so few of us and we're friends and we're casually here this morning, I'll just share a few things that I wouldn't normally share, but it's just us here, right? He was born to a single mother, and at that time, believe it or not, an unwed mother was placed in a mental facility. Can you believe that? So he was born in a mental facility, but quickly adopted by a family there close by in Medina, Ohio. He grew up on a farm, an 88-acre farm, and he said that his family had a tractor, but his dad preferred to use his horses. I loved that, and they grew oats and corn and wheat and all of those things that those good Midwestern farmers grew. He grew up and graduated high school there in Medina, and then wanted to venture out and see a little bit more of the world. And so that's what took him away from his hometown. And like most young people, let me give you a photo of him if I can here. It worked a moment ago, Mark. There it is. Wasn't he nice looking? Nice looking, huh? Such a nice man. Such a tender. I got it. I just didn't have it on. Thank you. Such a tender, young, sweet man, and his family loved him dearly. And he loved them right back. He lived an interesting life. He had a love of nature. Wherever he went, he wanted to be out in nature. even his last days. I know when we visited him there at their condo where Carol still resides, he wanted to be out on the back porch so he could be with nature. And whenever anyone came by that was doing any work in the backyard, he wanted to be out there working with them. Carol had hidden his shoes. And he was looking for them because he was going to go outside and help the man that was doing the landscaping. But his work life, he spent at least 50 years or so in heavy civil construction jobs, not small construction jobs. We're talking about big stuff. And that's why I've asked someone else here this morning that knows a little bit more about that stuff if he would explain that to us. So he's going to talk to you a little bit more in depth about that. But he had over 30 years of direct supervision and management, I understand. And although Dick and Carol spent a great deal of their adult lives apart, theirs is truly a love story, and I'm going to tell you more about that in just a few minutes. Now, Mary Frost, would you please read a Hopi prayer for us? We think this would have been one of his favorites.
Well, what a pleasure. And that picture of him smiling is just the epitome of Dick.
Isn't that wonderful?
And he spent a lot of that time out west, and he got to be a lot on the native lands. And he respected and appreciated the native people, as did Carol, and as does Carol. So, yes, you're correct. He would have really enjoyed this remembrance. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond that glints on snow. I am the sunlight on the ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet white doves in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry, I am not there, because I did not die. And that is so true, don't we know?
Absolutely. Thank you. Musicians, did you have another song for us?
I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. speaks and the sound of his voice is so sweet. The birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. I'd stay in the garden with him, though the night around me be falling, but he bids me go through the voice of woe. His voice to me is calling, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. And Miss Nay, would you come up and please and read the 23rd Psalm? I'll put this down a little bit.
Good evening, everybody. My grandmama gonna kill me because I'm supposed to know this. I can see her later on tonight. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lay down in the green pasture. He leads me beside the still water. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod, thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemy. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup run over. Surely goodness and grace shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23. Okay.
Thank you, Nay. That's beautiful. And the songs have been perfect. The Amazing Grace and In the Garden. Aren't those beautiful? And the psalm. So this afternoon, I'm so accustomed saying this morning. I say it without even thinking. We're here to honor this gentle man. How kind and generous and loving and supportive and just all the things you can think of to say about someone that had the qualities that he did. Some of us knew him pretty well. We had steak with him on Friday nights, didn't we? For a lot of Friday nights and at Long Beach. And of course at the Elks Club. And of course here on Sundays. And the many times that we got together for special events and anniversaries and birthdays and Sundays and whatever before COVID sort of shut us down a little bit for a while. And then, unfortunately, health starts to decline, doesn't it, sometimes? And Carol, you stuck with him no matter what, with the Parkinson's and then the dementia. And you were just really a trooper, and we just really want to celebrate you today too, because this day is for you as well. And I just want to tell a little bit about a love story. Dan will describe some of the things he did when he was out in the field working, but I know that you and Dick met when you were both working at the same store when you were just teenagers, and got to know each other well and were sort of sweethearts. And then as life happens, change happens. He graduated, then moved away, and they were separated for some time. And then got in touch with each other over the years and knew what was going on with each other's lives. And then over, 12 years ago, 13 years ago or so, after his wife had passed away, these two lovebirds were reunited. And it was just like love at first sight again. Isn't that sweet? Just one of the sweetest love stories that I know of. And you helped him then too. You helped him in so many ways to get through the troubling time he was going through, and helped to resolve several things that looked impossible to him. And you helped him do that. And you can always remember that and what a gift you were to him, besides being such a beautiful bride. All the wonderful things and helpful things you did for Dick during especially his last years. And we know that your heart is in a lot of pain today, and we're praying for that, praying that you will have soothing and that you'll be comforted. But Dan is going to talk to us a little bit about Dick's career so that we can celebrate that a little bit. There he goes. As I mentioned, he worked on several heavy construction projects, bridges, dams, and tunnels. He was one of those few people that was able to go into a tunnel and actually work, and most of us wouldn't be able to do it. You couldn't drag us into that tunnel, much less work. Come on up, Dan.
Dick and I spent a lot of time talking to each other, I think, because we grew up the same. We both grew up on a little farm. We both left the farm, went out to do other things. Dick's career was, how should I say, challenging. I think he worked in every industry there was, but he really, really loved mining. That was what he loved. Dick really started out, he was working underground. He became one of a tremendous welder, and got to the place where he was managing underground activities in a lot of different mines. And Dick was not only a welder, he was a geologist, he was an engineer. He didn't have any degrees, he just was. He was just all of those things. And probably the crowning thing for his career was when he was working on the Stampede Pass project in Washington State, which is a 2-mile tunnel through the mountains, a railroad tunnel. And he was the general superintendent on that job, which is a mammoth project, you know. And so they bored through the Rocky Mountains. Piece of cake, no problem, you know. But Dick really, you know, was an underground guy. But if you got to talking to Dick, what he really loved was above ground mining. And he even bought a gold mine when he was 30 years old. And Dick owned the 3G's gold mine in Bricksburg, California. He and another guy bought a gold mine, and it was a placer mine. I don't know if you know what a placer mine is. It's where a river runs down, and then all of the sediment goes and settles into a corner of a river. And they mined this for gold, mostly fine gold, but he had some what he called jewelry quality nuggets. And they would sell these for like 4 times the value of the gold to jewelers that would make necklaces out of them. But really, he loved that, you know, the to work in the dirt. He said the boulders were from the size of Volkswagens down to sand, and you'd get it all out of the way. Then you would run all this through a trommel, a grizzly trommel, and sort out all the gold. The only problem was there, in about 800 feet, it ran out, and so they only ran it for a couple years. But he really loved that, getting out there, running the bulldozer. They had an old coring crane that he just absolutely loved. So Dick loved that surface mining piece of it. And so he and I related on that. But the last time I got with Dick, we were sitting there talking, and Dick said, you know, it's been a long time, and I need to go see my dad. I hope they're on the farm right now.
Okay, so explain that photo. He's welding, and everybody see a person.
That was him welding in one of the tunnels in the Mud Mountain project.
The Mud Mountain project. That's him welding. If you can see Dan had to show me the person welding to pick it out. We won't go over that too much.
That's the Mud Mountain Dam.
Mud Mountain Dam and tunnel project. That was in Washington State. He worked in Maine, Washington State, California, Virginia, Pennsylvania. Worked a lot of different places. That was also the Mud Mountain. Okay. Okay. Impressive, huh? Quite impressive. That's another photo of the Mud Mountain Tunnel. Isn't that amazing? I enjoyed going through all those photos that Mary got back to you, Carol. Looking at all of those people working in those tunnels, though, made me feel a little bit claustrophobic just looking at the photos. Very, very impressive. All those articles and all the things he did, just incredibly impressive. Well, one of the things I guess that we all know, and he was just such a gentle, kind, loving person. I can't imagine his ever hurting anyone intentionally. He just wouldn't do it. Wouldn't have an unkind word for anybody. And one of the things that we can give thanks for is that although this last illness that came so quickly and took him so quickly, that he didn't suffer. He didn't suffer an unusually long time, so we can be thankful for that. He was also funny and fun, wasn't he? Liked to laugh. Yeah, he had a great laugh. That booming, deep voice. I love to hear it. And I love this beautiful, anonymous poem. Something beautiful remains. The tide recedes but leaves behind bright seashells on the sand. The sun goes down, but gentle warmth still lingers on the land. The music stops, and yet it echoes on in sweet refrains. For every joy that passes, something beautiful remains. Carol, we just love you so much, and you know that. Just as you have held us tightly to your bosom since you arrived here in Gulfport those years ago in 2013, I believe it was. And we've held you tightly within ours. And that included the time before Dick came, and it will include the time afterward. But we know he's still here. He's still here in our hearts. I believe he's here today listening. And he's got some pretty good buddies that met him on the other side, hasn't he, Sharon? Roger and Frank, I'm sure they were right there to greet him. Oh, yeah. Dear sweet friends, I'm so glad you're here today and together. And before I close, I wondered if anyone else had a word they wanted to say, and it's not necessary, but I don't want to close without asking. Okay, yes, Mary. And you can grab the mic down there if you'd like, or right here on the, yeah, right there. Uh-huh. Marcus is a musician.
I don't know if I need it, but
A
hey, up there.
magician.
Magician. Well, all the things that have been said are so true, but did you know that he was, I think, licensed in 3 states as a demolition, munitions, dynamite expert? Yeah. I thought that was pretty impressive when I learned that. Because you can't, not everybody can be trusted with that. But Dick was, because he proved himself for sure. So I thought that was pretty cool. And Carol and I were reminiscing this morning. And she said, you know, oh, where was that picture taken? Carol, where is that?
I don't know, but I had it, and I think Bobby took it somewhere. I'm not sure where.
I don't know, but we've got percussion.
Uh-huh.
Some percussion.
Maybe you were
instruments.
drumming one day.
I don't know where that was.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
I love it. I want a copy of that one.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
Oh, great. Gee. Those, what do you call those spontaneous things when you don't, you know you were there because there's a picture,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
but you don't remember being there?
Yeah.
And so they checked in because Carol kept in touch with his sister, and he kept in touch with someone in your family. So they would check in periodically in their movements around the country and the marriages and so forth and so on. She was telling me this morning he was in California and there was an earthquake going on, and he was calling Carol to check on her. And she said, he was on the phone and it kept going, and she said, I think you said, where are you or something? And he said, we're having an earthquake here and I'm checking on you. And it's like, he's checking on her when someone should have been checking on him. But I thought that was just so characteristic of him. Talk about caring and kindness and checking in and wanting to know. But I remember when didn't have this church then. We had the little church, the little white church, which we still have. And I met Carol, and she was such a friend to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
A friendly friend. And then all of a sudden she was with this man. And I was like, who is that? Nobody knows who that is. She picked him up in Ohio in her truck and brought him back. And that was that. But over in the, when we go over there for refreshments after, there's a cartoon caricature of Dick in a hard hat, which is so characteristic. And then there's a picture out in Sedona, Arizona. And there are these two 21-year-old looking people who were really in their, 70s? And Carol looks like she is a teenager, and Dick looks like he's a teenage young man in that picture. And so I just wanted to share that. Anybody else? Joey, you want to share anything?
Covered pretty well. I just like to be more like those after BC. Yeah, he was tops.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary. Yes, he was. He was tops, wasn't he? Well, I know that 100 years from now, a lot of things won't matter. But some will. And that's the kindness that lives on from one person to another. The gentleness, the good deeds that you do for another that are passed on to another. So we all live on through those great deeds, and we know that his generosity, his love, his compassion, kindness, tenderness have been passed on to others, and so they'll just be passed on from generation to generation. And we look forward to that. Now that we've come to the end of the service, I would ask if you would please stand, and we will offer a prayer. Dear God, we feel your presence and the warmth of your love. We feel a sense of closeness with all those whom we love, and especially this one who has passed beyond our physical sight. We see him enfolded in your love, and we know your light illumines his path. And for Dick and his new expression of life, our prayer for him is this: the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, the power of God protects you, and the presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. We do not say goodbye, but rather we say, Godspeed, beloved, on your onward journey. Be with God. Amen. The family wants to thank you. Those are lovely photos too, aren't they? We wish to thank you for being here to support our dear sister friend. And we also ask that you would come over to the fellowship hall, have some refreshments with us, before you head home. Thank you so much.